You got motherfuckers talking about that they want to make a change, they want to make a difference, but still stuck in the same phase. You got motherfuckers talking about that they want to chase a bag, but stay at home and nag. Then when you ask them what they need, they say less talking, more opinions, no prayers with division. You ask me, y'all need to focus more on revision, rely less on television. How you want a future you have no vision? This world is just like fiction. What we need is more talking, less opinions, more prayers with no division. Before you come up with a conclusion, giving people false illusions, pick up a book, do your research, learn your history before you end up in a ditch making history. Division and religion isn't working. The only way to show God our faith and love is through our actions. Our convictions is the only thing that really unite us. One God, one nation, different beliefs. There's words that can't fly with the wind. There's insults that are not violent. Meanwhile, while you're home to them, they're killing you on the inside. If I was to tell you that I didn't hurt, I would be lying. Would you believe me if I was to tell you that there's truths that lie, especially when they're telling you that they're indifferent? Getting shoved to the side because you're different. There's a hug out there someone didn't receive today. Probably because of what was said about them yesterday. Probably because of the way they was dressed today. Not realizing that the one that they hate could be the one that saves their day. But you know what? Thanks to them, it's another day in history where you get to flip the pages to your book and speak your story. And Lord, it's unholy. But you know what hurts the most? As I walk down the street and I see how easily we're divided. When we all should be united. One body, one mind, one soul, a million talents. Lord, without you, we're all divided. Forgive them, Lord, for they don't know any better. They don't know that there's someone out there that loves them. Hey, what up, everybody? I hope all of y'all is having a blessed and humble day. I hope all of y'all continue to have a blessed and humble day. Let's talk about it. I surely want to welcome everybody to the Riders for Life brings you the Let's Talk About It podcast. And today's topic this is part one out of a couple parts. Blessings, Maritza. Blessings, Young Riaz. I hope both of y'all is having a blessed and humble day, y'all. But let's talk about it, right? TikToks, Instagrams, everybody's talking about simulations. Everybody's talking about aliens. Everybody's talking about the Bible. I spelled Bible wrong in my title. I'm going to have to go fix that. They talking about the robots, y'all. So I don't know how y'all feel, what y'all think, but this is my opinion. Y'all more than welcome to give y'all opinions. These are all open panels. We all have opinions. We all have perspectives. Nobody is wrong because at the end of the day, we're all still learning about it. But we could talk about it. Each one, teach one, right? At the end of the day, right? There's some things out here that some of us learn that others don't know. Some things out here that some of us figure out before others do. Some of us debate. Some of us don't want to figure out things. Some of us just want to hate. Some of us, are really out here because we want to bring awareness. Regardless of the situation, we're just here. We're here to, bring the news, to bring awareness to what's happening, and let's talk about it. Are we living in a reality right now? Are we living in a simulation? Are aliens real? Is God real? Right? Growing up, I've had the same questions that so many people have, right? Out of nowhere, the government is now saying aliens are real. They got evidence, they got proof that the aliens exist. Could it be another distraction? There have been distractions after distractions after distractions, but these are really good questions. Is God real? Are aliens real? Are we in a simulation? Are we living in a world like Resident Evil right now? Are we avatars? Is the world we living in something that we can control? Or is it something that's being controlled by Mother Nature, by God? That's a really good question. So many theories going around, so many questions being asked. And what's crazy is, do we really, really know? There's parts in the Bible where they talk about Enoch. In certain parts of the Bible, Enoch reveals that God supposedly had a wife, right? We could talk about the dinner table where there was supposed to be a table full of men, but there was one female in that table. We could talk about Mary. We could talk about she was a virgin and she was the one that gave birth to Jesus. But then again, there's another theory saying that Mary was Jesus' wife. We've been lied to about so many things to the point where we have to really be out here researching and doing our own homework, trying to figure things out, right? And instead of bringing each other down, we need to really do our research before we end up in a ditch making history. All right, so these are some of the clips that are roaming around. I also got some I told y'all it's gonna be a couple parts to this. I also got to do a live on a link that I got from Letitia. Thank you, Letitia POV, for giving me that link about the teacher that brought meth and coke to the schools. That's a live. I'm doing my little research on that because I want to see how deep that is. But let's get back on topic, guys. Let's watch these little clips right here. Hey, don't do that. That's the screen I want. Thank you. So clips like this are roaming around. Let's watch some of these.
The government's lying to you. It is. Before you laugh, I'm actually talking about some pretty far out stuff, like really far out stuff, like covering up the existence of UFOs. Once again, before you laugh, David Grush is no joke. He is an Air Force veteran. He is also a former member of the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency. Okay, you got to be pretty smart to be there. Part of the Pentagon, okay? He says he has seen evidence of secret crash retrieval program, a secret crash retrieval program that's been hidden for decades. Crashes of UFOs. He says he's even retrieved bodies.
Let me ask y'all a question. Y'all believe does aliens exist? Do y'all think aliens exist? Do y'all believe in aliens? I'm gonna give y'all my opinion in 1 second, but let's watch some clips.
Of other species, or at least he's seen the evidence of that. This is big, weird stuff, right? From a big guy. He's whistleblowing now. He's saying this is stuff that, public needs to know about, Congress needs to know about, shouldn't be kept secret. And so this is what he told journalist Ross Coulthart, who's reporting for News Nation. Take a look.
You are saying to the human race, for the first time, an official intelligence representative at a high level from the US government is saying publicly, we are not alone.
We're definitely not alone. Absolutely, the data points empirically that we're not alone, yeah.
Yo, this comment right here over here says, they constantly give us info we already know and then act like they telling us something new. Yo, I feel the same way as this dude right here. I've been saying that, yo.
Do we have bodies? Do we have species of
naturally.
Blessings. Be encouraged with Maritza. I believe there are other living beings like us. I believe that too.
When you recover something that's either landed or crashed, sometimes you encounter dead pilots. And believe it or not, as fantastical as that sounds, it's true.
Okay, Grush filed a whistleblower complaint, like I told you, and this is what he told News Nation. There is a sophisticated disinformation campaign targeting the U.S. populace, which is extremely unethical and immoral. Department of Defense has released a statement that reads in part, to date, the AARO, which is the All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office in the Pentagon, has not discovered any verifiable information to substantiate claims that any programs regarding the possession or reverse engineering of extraterrestrial materials have existed in the past or exist currently. AARO is committed to following the data and its investigation wherever it leads, which leads me to Ben. David Grush says the government's lying.
So, do y'all believe aliens are real?
Wow.
Do y'all believe that they're a distraction? How many of y'all believe that what's going on right now is a whole nother distraction? Let me ask y'all that question.
I think I know why the U.S. is talking about aliens and having a distraction. The distraction is to divert our attention away from Africa. This is the president of Guyana. I'll get to him in a moment. Was doing my normal Russia and Chinese news update, and they are buzzing about sub-Saharan African countries right now. While the U.S. is trying to push loans and more debt on African countries, essentially to control them, the U.S. and counterparts are getting really worried because African countries are choosing countries like China to take loans from. And the same goes for Russia. In fact, Putin is talking about doing debt forgiveness. Russia has signed memorandums of cooperation with the Republic of Congo and Senegal. And just yesterday, President Xi met with the Mauritania, Burundi, Guyana, Georgia presidents. That's a mouthful. But let me show you why this is such a big deal. You see, the United States imports a ton of goods from Africa, specifically oil, platinum, vehicle.
So once again, is this a distraction, or could they really have alien evidence in their hands? But my biggest question is, y'all really have the alien evidence? Where is the real evidence with no filters?
A major one to consider, which we've been increasing, there's a 21% increase in minerals. Minerals are really important to make tons of different products. So as the U.S. and Africa relationships continue to sour day by day, we're doing these trips needing a reset. The vast majority of the goods and products that we imported from multitudes of African countries will get redirected to countries like Russia and China, which means that the cost of production for goods that most Americans buys will rise more.
Now, if y'all been watching my podcast, y'all know we've talked about the missing submarines, about the Titanic, the distractions, the robots, and much more, right? So once again, my question leads, is this a distraction, or have they really found something?
Less supply, same demand, higher prices. Think about this with some common sense. If you were an African country, which one would you rather work with? The one that's trying to give you more loans, debt, and slavery, or the one that's offering you $23 billion of debt write-off? So you tell me, what's more important, aliens or our economic ties with foreign countries that give us the livelihood that we've always had? I mean, to be honest, considering how the U.S. has treated most African nations the last, couple decades, it's no shock that they're changing partnerships. This is just getting absolutely in.
So could this be something that's happening because it's, the money problems they were having, because what's happening with the president, and then boom, out of nowhere, they're trying to distract us to, have something happen all over again? Could this be an issue with the bills, the laws, the Constitution, and much more? Could it be that, we're living in a simulation? Are there 1%ers? Like, what is y'all opinion? I would love to start hearing y'all opinions in the chat. I would love to interact with, the people in my chat, even with the people that catch the replays. I would love to hear what y'all think.
We cannot let anyone.
Alien.
So there's a lot of things that have been exposed now. Let me ask you about another aspect of the divide economy at the same time. That's the exact opposite of Trump.
It's to the point where, I know there's clones, right? But they're trying to say that Biden's an alien. They're talking about lizard people. I'm about to get on here real quick. Let me show y'all my face. Real quick, right? Do y'all believe that the Bible and history go hand in hand? I believe that the Bible and history go hand in hand. I believe that we have to learn our history to understand our present and to figure out what's happening, what's going to happen in the future. If we don't know our past, we don't know our history, we're not going to understand what's happening right now in our present. So, my biggest question is, are the aliens real, right? Y'all know that growing up, I heard about aliens so much, right? But reading the Bible and listening to people, I haven't read the whole Bible, I'm going to be honest. I've read tried I've sat here, I've tried to put two and two together like a detective, right? So I'm going to be very honest. They talk about aliens. Could these aliens be falling angels? Y'all know that part of Enoch, the chapter is taken out of the Bible. We're going to talk about it. That's why there's going to be more than one part to this. I hope nobody feels offended. These are just our opinions. Like, anybody's welcome to come up to the, panel, talk respectfully. Please respect the chat. Please respect the mods. Hold on 1 second. Let me check. Let me check the chat. I was just trying to get that out my head before, But what if, God did have a wife? Like, in the Bible, the word matrix really is there. And when you look up the word matrix, it says, it's a womb. What is a womb? And as far as I'm concerned, the women do have wombs. There's so many questions, right? But we're just going to talk about it. I don't want no beef. I don't want no problems. And I know it can occur. So if anybody comes in here on some, bullshit, I'm going to say it just like that. If the mods are in the chat, please, feel free to because we're not here to beef. We're not here to start no drama. We're actually here to try to, find solutions to, see if we could figure out some shit and be unconfused, because there's so many things going on and they're trying to like, boom, throw everything at us at once. But see, I've been woke for a while. So I still do got some, I do have some questions, right? Because there's people going around talking about simulations. And here's another question when it comes to the simulations. And it may seem like I'm going, but I'm trying to get y'all to understand where I'm coming from. So I don't want to ball nobody up. But what if we was living in a simulation? Who's controlling that simulation? How is that simulation running? How is it working? If we was to be living in a world like Resident Evil right now, and y'all know, if y'all watched Resident Evil, y'all would understand where I'm coming from. Let me check the chat real quick. I'm so sorry. I am still here, riders, drinking my coffee to wake up. Y'all, that morning coffee, right? I don't drink coffee, but I know a lot of people need that morning coffee. They need that caffeine. I believe Quran is the same since it was revealed. Anything possible. All right. Thank you, y'all, for y'all comments, because it also helps a shorty out. It helps. Let's understand. Like, let's start really understanding this. Facts. Can we keep it simple while doing it? Facts. There is stuff I am not qualified to answer. Facts. Listen, young Riaz, you're right here. You learning. You're doing the same thing that I do when I hop on so many panels. I listen, and if once I think I got the understanding, then I might hop up on a panel. I'm starting to do that, and give my perspective. But other than that, listen, we're all entitled to an opinion. We don't all know everything. We're still learning. A lot of us, we all got so many questions. But talking about it at the end of the day, maybe one of us could. We never know. We could figure something out. That's all I'm saying. But I'm not saying we're going to figure everything out. What I'm saying is talking. Hey, listen, there's people saying that God is not real. There's people saying that God is real. There's people saying that God doesn't exist and we live in a simulation. People saying that there's aliens. I believe that there's other people out here that are like us. There's probably God. There's probably gods out there. But I do have one question, right? How did they manage to? My biggest question has always been, right? The gods were so strong and the gods were the one that ruled the world. How did they manage to tame these gods? Like, there's so many stories and so many loopholes to this, but talking, we could always fill in the holes. Because there's some things that you might know that I don't know, and there's some things that I might know that you don't know. There's some things that this person might know that I don't know. So I'm not here to judge. We're here to learn. Each one teach one. So let's do this.
Are we aliens? Because the government just said that, yes, aliens do exist, but they aren't these. They aren't these, and they aren't these. Thank God, because that looks creepy. What the hell is that? But they might be us.
Yo, somebody in the comments says, so is school canceled or what? To other creatures, we are aliens for real. Yo, when I was little and I used to watch the alien movies, I used to always ask, like, yo, are the aliens the ones controlling us? Can they watch us through that little TV box? Like, are they sitting here experimenting us like we experiment on animals? When I first found out that they chopped chicken heads off and we ate actual animals, listen, I told y'all I cried when they made me eat Bambi. I don't get it. Like, it's crazy, right? The questions, how questions. Listen, I listen, and I got questions too, and I hope that people listen, because it's like, this shit is crazy. He said the aliens is us, but it's crazy. Listen to what he's saying. Some people got points, but the crazy thing is we don't have no facts. People chat, Abraham, peace be upon, questioned everything. I question everything, exactly. I have to question everything because I'm not going to sit here and be fooled. I do believe God is the master of all creations. I also believe the Bible is our basic instructions while on earth. I believe there is a God because he definitely is the one giving me the strength to be strong. Facts, Maritza, facts. I believe, listen, there's something, we're here for a reason, right? They're supposed to be spiritual beings around. Listen, we're going to talk about it. And as we go, y'all going to get to know my opinions. I don't want to just blur it all out and then confuse everybody. So listen, we're going to talk about it. And then the videos that I show kind of also help me express a little more and talk a little more. Because listen, that's what it's about. Like, if we don't question and to understand certain things, what is the whole point? Blessings, blessings, real blessings. I'm always going to question. See, I stand for something and I fall for nothing. So let's keep watching some of these clips because I do want to get into some of these. There's some long ass videos that I got right here, and we're going to react to them together. And I would love to hear y'all perspectives and y'all opinions. Y'all could give, leave y'all comments down below on the replay. Y'all could, chat right here with me in the chat. Y'all could hop on a panel and talk to a shorty. However y'all wish to do it.
Us. And their craft can travel dimensions. Dimensions. They don't just fly up and down and around at speeds that are just, we don't even understand their speeds. They are Are we aliens? Because the government just said that, yes, aliens do exist, but they aren't these. They aren't these, and they aren't these. Thank God, because that looks creepy. What the hell is that? But they might be us. Us. And their craft can travel dimensions. Dimensions. They don't just fly up and down and around at speeds that are just, we don't even understand their speeds. They are transdimensional. I don't think you guys understand. They can dimensionality shift and warp. How many dimensions can they go through? Fourth, fifth?
So if they're us, can we travel through dimensions? Like, yo, it's just the way he's explaining it. But I get his point and I get his concept. It's just the way he's explaining. I could really sit here if I was a roaster or somebody that does comedy, sit here and roast. But I understand his point, though. I get his perspective.
Where do they come from? And if they're us, how long have they been here? Like literally, when they were describing the aliens, they were saying that they're non-human, but only human from Earth. Are we aliens? And how long have we been here on this planet? Did we cause the dinosaurs to be wiped out so that we can live here? And why have we not had any contact from them outside of, well, whatever this is? And what are these? Is this just a joke, or is this like some sort of...
He do have some good questions, though, yo. Even though the way he's saying it and the way he's coming out with it, is school canceled? I have the same question. Is school canceled?
Spacesuit. Because, like, if you looked at their skeletal structure, it looks great, except for the head, which, kind of looks like our astronauts with their massive balls, except, I don't know. But what do you think? Are we aliens? W's in the chat if you agree. L's in the chat if you don't.
I don't know about him, but I think I'm a human. I think I'm a human. I bleed. I don't think I'm an alien. I think I'm out of this world, but I don't think I'm an alien. But let's keep going.
Have to be reined in immediately. I want to choose my words carefully here. A clock, I understand, has been put on this getting resolved through hearings and other means, and by the end of this year, it needs to.
I'm gonna let y'all know we're also gonna be watching a video of Dr. Stephen Greer. I'm not sure it's gonna be today on today's live or it's gonna be on part 2, but I got all these videos set up, and hopefully we can get this done in probably like 3 parts. Hopefully.
Be resolved, and that's all I will say at this point. Have to be reined in immediately. I want to choose my words carefully here. A clock, I understand, has been put on this getting resolved through hearings and other means, and by the end of this year, it needs to be resolved. And that's all I will say at this point. Have to be reined in immediately.
Recently, I saw an alien laying on the beach surrounded by government officials. I decided to investigate the origin of the alien, and I stumbled upon what looks like an underwater alien base. Notice the circular structure deep underwater with an opening.
So the government...
Yo, what the hell?
Recently, I saw an alien...
was trying to pause it. They talking about an alien under base, but we all know they got bases under there. Could that be an army base, a navy base, any type of military base? So they saw some type of base under there. It's kind of hard. See, people just talk.
So the government essentially confirmed that aliens exist?
No, they didn't. They confirmed that the United States has recovered, and I quote, non-human biologics from alleged crash sites.
So non-human, what they're thinking is the aliens be the supposed fallen angels that's talked about in the Bible. We're going to talk about it. I don't want to confuse nobody, but if anybody does know what I'm talking about, they can leave, a little comment down there. The fallen angels do exist. They talk about it in so many chapters of the Bible.
And that the United States is in possession of UAPs, which is their modern term for UFOs. That said, if a drone that someone slapped together that the United States cannot identify crashes and hits a bird, and they take the bird corpse, that is a UFO and non-human biologics. I should also point out that this kind of thing tends to come out often when the government is on some other hot nonsense that they do not want being at the top of the news.
Once again, it leads back to the question, is it a distraction? Everything that they're talking about. People in the comments on his video are talking about confirmed there was 4 dudes with no evidence other than trust me, bro. Do y'all really believe that aliens exist?
Most of y'all know how I feel about my neighborhood, right? And how it's a fucking simulation. Like literally all the houses are the same, right? Why the fuck are all these white cars like dead ass? Most of y'all know how I feel about my neighborhood, right? And how it's a fucking simulation. Like literally all the houses are the same, right? Why the fuck?
So these are all the types of videos that are surfacing, whether it's through TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. This is what the talk is about. Are we living in a simulation? Are there aliens? Is God real? So basically, this is what the talk is about right now. And to me, I feel as though a lot of this could be a distraction, is a distraction. I'm not going to say could, is a distraction. Because in my opinion, this is a lot of distraction.
The concept that an alien species that's technologically advanced enough to travel billions of light years gets here and somehow is incompetent enough to not survive Earth or crashes is something that I find a little bit far-fetched. And with that being said, you have mentioned that there's interdimensional potential. Could you expound on that?
Regardless of your level of sentience, right? Planes crash, cars crash, n number of sorties, however high, a small percentage are going to end in mission failure, if you will, as we say in the Air Force. And then in terms of multidimensionality, that kind of thing, the framework that I'm familiar with, for example, is something called the holographic principle. Derives itself from general relativity and quantum mechanics, and that is, if you want to imagine a 3D object such as yourself casting a shot.
So he's talking about quantum mechanics and talking about us imagining things. So could they have figured out a way for us? Could we really be all right? Could it be both possibilities? Let's put it like this: could there be a chance, right? Could there be a chance that we know God is real, right? One way or another, we're here. It exists, the spirits, all that stuff, right? Evil, good, yin, yang. Could mankind trying to figure out the powers of God or trying to be God have, figured out the simulation, through technology to, make the world be like this? They already, I don't know if y'all understand where I'm coming from. It's kind of crazy because it kind of balls you up. The simulation thing, you seen the movie Resident Evil, right? She wakes up and she's a clone. Y'all know clones exist in this era, right? Robots, we've been talking about robots for the past couple lives before this live and the last live I did, right? I think we did 7 lives about are robots going to take over people's jobs? Are they going to take over mankind? Will robots benefit humankind and all that? Well, we know the robots are here. They've been here. We've been lied to. It's been distraction after distraction. What this distraction is for, I don't know. But here's one thing that I could say that I'm sure. I believe in God. That's it. Something created us and we're here. Something's given us strength. Like something is making these, plants grow. But the crazy part is, even in Resident Evil, when you watch the movie, it's like an illusion. In one part, you see all of them standing there and all the worlds change, the cities and everything. Like they couldn't believe that it was fake. That they was in a whole like a computer world, like the Matrix. Could we already be there? Could they be making us things like at times when you smell the rain, you smell that it's real, right? That you smell the water, the river, all that. Like I don't know how to explain it. But then there's times when you smell the rain and it smells like it's chlorine, like if you're in a pool. Weird as shit. Like when you come to the client, when you talk about the weatherization and all that stuff, they've already used technology to make it rain, to make it hot, to do all this stuff. They can make fake ice. They can make fake snow. Like, is we really that sleep? All right, let's get back to the videos. Because in order for me to be a little more, talkative, I have to, I want to see a little more of the chat be more interactive so that I can interact more with y'all. So let's get back to the video. Because this is crazy. Like, I hope I didn't ball nobody up and trying to explain what I think, but it's just like, damn, like, in the Bible it says that Lucifer, the devil, will be walking amongst mankind as his punishment, living as a human. We already know that there's a circle big as shit, I think in one part of the world, that they call it hell. Like, it's crazy as shit. And that shit's been open for over 50 years.
Shadow onto a 2D surface. That's the holographic principle. So you can be projected, quasi-projected from higher dimensional space to lower dimensional. It's a scientific trope that you can actually cross, literally, as far as I understand, but there's probably guys with PhDs that we could probably argue about that.
But you have not seen any documentation that that's what's occurring.
Only a theoretical framework discussion.
The concept that an alien species that's technologically advanced enough to travel billions of light years gets here and somehow is incompetent enough to not survive Earth or crashes is something that I find a little bit far-fetched. And with that being said, you have mentioned that there's interdimensional potential. Could you expound on that?
Regardless of your level of sentience, right? Planes crash, cars crash, n number of sorties, however high, a small percentage are going to end in mission failure, if you will, as we say in the Air Force. And then in terms of multidimensionality, that kind of thing, the framework that I'm familiar with, for example, is something called the holographic principle. Derives itself from general relativity and quantum mechanics, and that is, if you want to imagine a 3D object such as yourself casting a shadow onto a 2D surface, that's the holographic principle. So you can be projected, quasi-projected from higher dimensional space to lower dimensional. It's a scientific trope that you can actually cross, literally, as far as I understand, but there's probably guys with PhDs that we could probably.
So if we're living under a simulation, who is controlling that program? How did they manage to do this? Right? That's my biggest question.
There's lots of different alien types, but the three main alien types that you'll look for anywhere are the Greys, the Nordics, and the Reptilians. The Nordics are these 6 to 7 feet tall humanoid extraterrestrials with long blonde hair and blue eyes. They're known to be physically beautiful. They're thought of as benevolent. And in pretty much all stories, they're capable of telepathy. The next would be the Reptilians. Oh, shoot. Sorry, that's just a picture of Mark Zuckerberg. The Reptilians, who are popularized by David Icke, they're these shape-shifting aliens that control Earth. And they're also sometimes called archons, which is interesting if you understand Gnosticism. They're the builders of the universe in the Gnostic myth. But let's talk about what we came here for, which is the Greys. They are the most widely associated with abduction reports. They're these gray-skinned humanoids with enlarged, hairless heads, large black eyes, and lack of external human body parts. So they don't really have a nose, they don't have ears, they don't have genitalia. They're around 3 feet tall, usually. But here's the important thing, and the reason I picked this picture of the little gray aliens is, do you see what's in the background?
Big gray aliens?
Yeah, because there are also tall grays. The tall grays are 8 feet tall. Kind of like the US, the Vegas 8 feet tall.
Coincidental.
But where's the real evidence that they actually got these aliens? The real evidence.
Yo, you guys watch?
There's lots of different alien types, but the three main heads, large black eyes, and lack of external human, 3 feet tall, usually. But here's the important thing, and the reason I picked this picture of the little gray aliens is, do you see what's in the background?
Big gray aliens?
Yeah, because there are also tall grays. The tall grays are 8 feet tall, kind of like the US, the Vegas 8 feet tall.
Coincidental.
And they're known as the ambassadors between meetings of aliens and humans. They're also known as the supervisors in abductions and genetic experiments, and the short grays are the ones who do all the work. So these are the managers, so to speak.
What the fuck? So basically, they no different from us. They live in a whole pyramid.
Yo, are you guys watching this? The government's literally exposing that aliens are real.
Yeah, and we don't care.
Hold on. As big of a conspiracy theorist you two are, you mean to tell me that you don't believe in none of this?
Real disclosure isn't televised.
We already knew multidimensional beings have been here helping us this whole time. At least the good ones. The bad ones are the...
Question is, are they aliens? Are they angels? Are they gods from other planets? Like, what is the real question? What did they really find? What did they discover? What did they been discovered?
There's
Yo, are you guys watching?
Yo, like, this is really what's going on.
You know it's fucked up.
That let's see, am I back? Yeah, I'm back. I just wanted y'all to see that what's being talked about right now is the conspiracies about the aliens, the robots, the simulations. Is God real? It's so many questions roaming around that I sat here and I just been doing my research, and I've just pulled up a couple videos. Let me see which one I'm going to show first. No, that's not it. Let me see. How long is this one? That one's. Let me see. All right. Let's start off with some simulations. Let's watch these two videos right here. All right, they got some ads playing. I apologize for that. 1 second, guys. I hate the ad part. But this is an article. Do we live in a simulation? The problem with this mind-bending hypothesis. I apologize for the stuttering. Damn, why won't they get rid of this ad? Like, what's taking so long?
Tell your doctor about new or worsening eye problems.
All right, so basically on this video, they're going to be talking about simulations. I don't know what's taking so long on this ad. Hold on 1 second. Let's just play the second video because they're going up there. All right. That was the longest ad ever. And they took the video off. Weirdos.
live in a simulation? Yes. Do we live in a simulation? Yes. I mean, no. I mean, well, it's more
You peep how the boy just showed the red and the blue pill, right?
complicated. Today we're going to talk about the simulation hypothesis. Let's just get started with what this hypothesis really is. So let's assume, for the sake of argument, that as time goes on, computers get ever more powerful. They get better and better, more and more efficient, and get bigger and bigger, and they can do more complex things. Let's say that at some point in the distant future, doesn't matter when, it could be next year, it could be 100,000 years from now, it doesn't matter for this argument, that computers become so powerful, so incredibly vast, capable of crunching so many numbers that they can simulate the entire universe. Yeah, and yeah, this is pure sci-fi, but let's go there. Let's, for this argument, let's say we have a computer the size of a planet.
That's no moon.
That uses a black hole as a
Remind you of our robots, don't it?
Power source. It is like 100% computer, and it is so powerful that it can simulate the entire universe down to some subatomic level, and it can recreate all the physics, and from all the physics comes all the chemistry and the biology, and that eventually in this little simulated universe there are simulated creatures that have consciousness, that they are aware of their surroundings. Now, they don't know that they're in a simulation. They look around, they have their senses, the food tastes the same, everything, the stars on the sky, they have a history of archaeology, the whole deal. They are pure conscious entities. Now, let's also assume that consciousness is consciousness, that a consciousness that resides inside of a skull made of a bunch of meat is the exact same kind of consciousness that resides inside of a computer chip embedded in a simulation. That if you're conscious...
Basically, he's trying to say that we're avatars. Basically, that's what it sounds like he's trying to say, that we're avatars.
In a simulation, unless somebody tells you, you don't know that you're in a simulation. There are no clues, there are no giveaways, that you're just alive and you're living your life and you're watching YouTube videos and you're just doing what you normally do. It seems fair to say, this argument goes, that eventually computers will become powerful enough to simulate the entire universe and have simulated consciousnesses inside of them. As soon as we have the capability to do that someday in the future, we're going to do it a lot. We're not going to stop at one universe simulation with one artificial consciousness. We're going to have a lot of simulations. We're going to turn that thing on. We're going to turn it off. We're going to have 5 computers in a row, all doing 5 different universes. We are going to restart it. We're going to monkey around with it. We're just going to go nuts with this. This is pretty reasonable. I mean, look at what we do with the simulated worlds that we can create, which are not recreations of our physical universe, but are still pretty impressive. Like look at Minecraft, right? Once you start having Minecraft, you don't stop having Minecraft. You have all these simulated worlds constantly being turned on and turned off and restarted and tweaked and updated. Think of all the entities, all the pigs and zombies. Think of how many there are. And as time goes on, the number of simulated Minecraft entities grows to be an incredibly large number. Once we are capable of building simulations of the universe, this is going to skyrocket, and we are going to have a ton of artificial consciousnesses. And very quickly, the number of artificial consciousnesses, that's what a weird word.
Is he talking about robots taking over the world, or is he talking about our consciousness being transferred into not like robots, basically? Which is kind of like a little, it's kind of hard to explain, but when I get the next video, there's a video here I want to show y'all. They will kind of break it down better for y'all than me.
The number of artificial brains will vastly outnumber the amount of organic brains. And if we assume that there's no special difference between simulated brains and organic brains, then you can ask yourself, what are the chances that you are actually living in a simulation? If you follow this chain of logic, then you end up with a trilemma, which is like a dilemma, but even more so. There are three statements, and at least one of them must be true. If you accept everything else in the argument, at least one of these statements must be true. Statement number one, for some reason, intelligent beings are incapable of developing the computing technology to simulate the entire universe. Okay, maybe that's true. Maybe this never plays out for some reason. Option number two, for some reason, intelligent beings do develop the capability to make universe simulations, but choose not to. It's a possibility. Or option number three, the vast majority of conscious beings are simulated, and therefore you are likely to be in a simulation. Because once we turn this on, if there are...
Basically, I feel as though like he's comparing us to the movie Avatar, and if y'all haven't watched it, y'all should go watch it. It's a real good movie. It's a long ass movie. So grab some popcorn, some Mary Jane, some liquor, sit down, watch that movie. It's a real good movie. But it's crazy that he's comparing our life to the avatars. Maybe I'm tripping, maybe I'm not. But I feel as though like he's comparing our way of living to the Avatar movie.
1 billion meat brains and 99 billion simulated brains, you have a 99% chance, all else being equal, of you being in a simulation. This is the simulation argument. This is the simulation hypothesis put forth.
And my biggest question is, if we're in a simulation, how did we get there? Who put us in a machine to make us feel like we're living in this reality right here? Where is the machine? How do we get back to us? If this is a simulation, if our world right now is like Resident Evil without the zombies in the Matrix.
Or first in 2003 by philosopher Nick Bostrom over at Oxford. And before I dig into poking at this hypothesis, at this argument, we need to talk about what the hypothesis isn't and what it is. So let's start with what the simulation hypothesis is definitely not. The simulation hypothesis is definitely not a theory of physics. This does not come to us from our understanding of the physical nature of reality. This does not come to us from a mathematical application of logic to modeling how the universe works.
So where does it come to you from?
The simulation hypothesis does not offer testable predictions. I mean, yes, if we're living in a simulation and the creators of the simulation sent us all a message telling us we're in a simulation, that's technically...
Once again, who's the creator? Who is the creator? That's why I said growing up, I always wondered, like, yo, if God isn't real, right? Or if God is real, how many gods are there? Like, could aliens really be watching us the way they say in the movies and stuff like that? But it's not aliens that we should be really worried about, in my opinion, because if you go to the Bible, let's talk about it in a little bit once we hit the Bible topic, because I don't want to confuse nobody.
Like testable, but not in the physics way. There's no observation we could make to determine if we truly do live in a simulation or not. So this is not a theory of physics. This is not a scientific theory. But this is also not pseudoscience. I've seen some scientists criticize the simulation argument, calling it pseudoscience. Pseudoscience is false science. That's literally the definition of pseudoscience. Pseudoscience is when you're taking some ideas of science, like instrumentation, observation, and lots of cool jargon, and not taking the rest. Like
witchcraft is what he's trying to say. I think he's trying to say witchcraft, and he's comparing the both.
Critical thinking, or an analyzing your own bias, or submitting your work to criticism from your peers, or taking your theories 100% seriously, like UFOlogy or cryptozoology or ghost hunting. This is pseudoscience because it looks like science. There's gizmos and there's record keeping, but they don't take their own ideas seriously and actually flesh out their theories and the implications of those theories and look for testable predictions and are willing to be wrong about it, which is an essential ingredient in science.
I'm saying it's all real. Like, a dozen other people say it's all real.
This is a simulation argument. This is a hypothesis. This is not any of that. This is not pseudoscience. This is not pretending to be science. It's simply its own thing, its own way of thinking. This is also not religion. This is not an argument in favor or against a creator or a deity. It just has nothing.
That's why I said I'll leave my opinion that I just had and what I was about to say for when I hop into the topic of the Bible.
Do with it. It's not. Simulation argument is also not a new method of agriculture. There's a long list of things it's not. The simulation argument also doesn't rely on there being an infinite chain of simulated universes where you have an organic universe, and then in that organic universe, they make a simulated universe, and then they make a simulated universe, and universe of universe, and that's how you get all these simulated brains. No, it doesn't rely on that. All it relies is on this happening at least once, where somebody or our descendants make a simulated universe, and then the number of simulated brains gets really, really, really big, vastly outweighing the number of organic brains. That's the cornerstone of the argument. The simulation hypothesis is also not a conclusive argument that we do live in a simulation. The simulation argument that Nick Bostrom put out in 2003 ends with the trilemma that I just discussed, ends with those three options, ends with maybe nobody can do this, maybe nobody chooses to this, or maybe we do live in a simulation, but it stops there. Of course, you can have your own personal preference. Nick Bostrom has his personal opinions, but you can't attach any odds to that. You can't calculate any odds to that because it ends with the trilemma. That's as far as this argument takes you. And so you can't point to the simulation argument and say, yep, we definitely live in a simulation, or I think we live in a simulation. No, you can't. If you start saying things like, yes, we do, yes, we don't, as you're basing it purely on the simulation argument, you can only stop at the trilemma. Now, what is the simulation hypothesis? It's philosophy. It's philosophy. And philosophy is amazing. It's a shame I see so many scientists and fans of science disparage philosophy, mock philosophy, call it useless. I mean, science is literally a branch of philosophy. I have a PhD that stands for Doctor of Philosophy. Science is philosophy. It's a kind of philosophy. So one group of philosophers telling another group of philosophers they're being useless or not being productive, that's kind of amusing to me.
A debate between sciences of which one is right and which one is wrong. And neither one going by Mother Nature. Crazy thing is, as y'all can see, God is real.
It makes it cringy when I see scientists like Neil deGrasse Tyson mocking philosophy, but then following the simulation argument and saying, well, I do think we live in a simulation, or a 50-50 chance we live in a simulation. But this is a philosophical argument. Weren't you just making fun of philosophers and now you're agreeing with them? So it'd be funny if it weren't so cringy. So I encourage you, if you see a scientist making fun of philosophy, I need you to slap them for me. And just love philosophy, asking these kinds of questions about the fundamental nature of reality and in questioning our assumptions is good and fruitful and useful because it keeps us moving forward. The simulation argument is the latest and perhaps most sophisticated version of a long line of thinking called the skeptical argument. You know, skepticism is, just asking questions.
All this is crazy, right?
And not believing on face value. If I tell you that the universe is 13.77 billion years old, you say, well, how do you know? That's skepticism. That's healthy skepticism. And I'm a big fan of skepticism. There are different levels of skepticism that you can apply, and you can go all the way to the maximum level of skepticism, where I say the universe is 13.77 billion years old. And you say, how do you know? And I talk about cosmic microwave background and dark matter and a lambda CDM cosmology and all that. And then you say, okay, how do you know what you're looking at is real? How do you know that this is the universe? What if this is all just
facts? Like, what? How can somebody tell us that what we're touching right now is fake? That this table, this phone is fake? How can you prove to me that it's a simulation? That it's just nothing but thin air? It's something that I'm imagining. Could I be imagining seeing people in the chat right now?
just an illusion? This is an important question because it stops us, it checks us, and it makes us really consider what is the nature of reality, what is the nature of our observations, what is the nature of our perception of reality. And that these are important questions to ask, right? There's been, 1,000 philosophy papers written about the Matrix, because the Matrix encapsulated a lot of these long-standing philosophical ideas. For example, philosophers going back.
See, if y'all listen to the creator of the Matrix, she tells y'all the truth. She had a vision of what's going to happen in the future, how the robots are going to look in the near future, how they're not going to look robotic no more. They're going to look like humans, and we're not even going to be able to tell. The clones and much more. And people took it as entertainment. So I always say, listen, there's messages in a lot of these movies, there's messages in these books, there's messages in these shows, there's messages in these music, there's messages through poems, there's messages through everything. But we're not paying attention. We're focused on the trend, on the entertainment, the distractions. Me, I'm woke.
Back to antiquity and probably prehistory have been debating this and thinking about this. Like, is there some evil demon with magical powers that is tricking us? Are we in a dream? Yes, we can tell the difference between dreams and not dreams, but that's only once we wake up. When you're in the dream, it's kind of hard to know you're in a dream. Maybe the universe was just created 5 minutes ago with all of our memories intact and all the photons and all the chemical reactions midway. We wouldn't know the difference. Maybe we live in a simulation. So if we are going to take the simulation argument or simulation hypothesis seriously, we have to take it seriously on the grounds it was made of, which is philosophy grounds, which is on the basis of argumentation and rationality. So we can't apply religious techniques to this. We can't apply science, say, well, no physics observation says we live in a sim. Okay, no, this is a philosophical argument. So let's take it seriously as a philosophical argument. There are a couple different ways to address the simulation argument. One way is to accept the line of arguing that leads to that trilemma, that choice, that three-pronged choice, accept all those arguments and say, okay, all that's totally cool, and then talk about the trilemma itself and weigh the various options and see if one option is more favorable than the other. But you don't even have to do that. You have a choice. You can read and understand the simulation argument, end at the trilemma, and then throw your hands up in the air and say, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe we live in a simulation. Maybe it's impossible to build simulations like that. Maybe if we had the capability, we just would choose not to. If we found out that all the zombies and pigs in Minecraft were conscious entities, we might actually stop playing Minecraft. I don't know that for sure, but it's a possibility. And
to me, is a game. It's not real. It's in the computer. It's technology. It's something that you could turn off and go back to. I can't turn my life off unless I go to sleep or die. I'm sorry, but I'm speaking reality.
Just don't know. You don't have to make a choice. The simulation argument does not compel you to make a choice about the nature of reality. It just raises these questions, and you can be fine with that ambiguity if you want to be. Or you can accept all the arguments that went into the simulation hypothesis and argue for one option or the other. You can say, okay, you know what? I really do think we live in a simulation, but you need to back that up because there needs to be more argument, more logic to support why you think we live in a simulation, because the simulation argument itself stops at the trilemma, and that's the end of that road. And you need more logic and more work. You need to do more homework if you want to say we live in a simulation. But you might say, you know what? It does seem likely that we're going to build these supercomputers. It does seem likely that we're not going to stop ourselves. It does seem likely that we're going to have a bajillion simulated brains. Therefore, I am likely to be a simulated brain.
Hmm.
Or you might argue we never reach the capability to build computers like that because we'll destroy ourselves. We'll kill ourselves.
But it's here. The computer has been here. They have been here. We know that there's clones walking amongst us. We know there's robots walking amongst us. They already got the canine dogs. Everything is here. Okay, we know it. The question is, what are we going to do and what's going to happen?
So there's some filter applied that prevents us from building computers like that, which is kind of dark, but it's also an option if you accept the rest of the arguments in the simulation hypothesis. Or you can say, yes, of course we'll have the ability to simulate universes, but of course we're not going to, because that would be immoral, that'd be wicked, that anyone who tries to do that, we're just gonna...
But they're already doing it. They already trying to pass a bill and everything to try to get robots to, be lawyers, to be robocops, to have us as cyborgs and much more. It's here.
Just put them in prison for the rest of their lives. We're not going to allow that stain on humanity by allowing ourselves to do it. And so we're not going to have this giant number of simulated brains, and I'm likely to be organic. That is fine. You are allowed to make any one of those cases. The simulation argument, as long as you accept all the assumptions that go in, allow you to say any one of those statements, but you have to back those up on your own. And so that's your journey. My journey that we're going to explore for the rest of the video.
So who here on this chat, who on a replay could prove to me that we're being run by a computer and that God isn't real? Who could prove that to me?
Is questioning the assumptions that go in to the simulation argument. The simulation argument, in order to reach that trilemma, assumes certain things. It assumes that eventually we will have a computer powerful enough to simulate the universe.
Yeah.
It assumes that once that computer...
And everything that he's saying is everything that Sophia Stewart said when she wrote her book. She had a vision back in the early 80s, and everything that she had a vision about is happening. It's just crazy that everybody went by the way the movies were. It's the same thing with the Titanic. Everybody was distracted with the movie Titanic, a romance movie, yada, 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 without realizing the truth that lies beneath, the reality underneath that movie, what it was really based about, and the hidden truths behind it.
Computer switches on, there'll be a vast number of simulated consciousnesses. It assumes that simulated brains are identical to organic brains. Their experiences are just the same. And it assumes that everything else is equal, so you can just go ahead and calculate those odds and conclude that you're likely in a simulation. That is the argument. That's what those are the assumptions it makes. We don't have to believe these assumptions. We can talk about these assumptions. For example, it may not be possible to build a simulation of the universe that is 100% faithful. In Bostrom's original work in 2003, he addressed this. He said, okay, maybe you don't need a quantum description of the entire universe throughout the entire universe. Maybe you have some sort of zooming or multi-scale thing where if I just look at a table, it's just a table, but then I look at it through a microscope and then it boots up locally the chemical description of a table. And if I look at it with a scanning electron microscope, it boots up the quantum nature of the table, but only in that area so it can save resources and power. I don't think that's quite possible, that kind of zooming based on perception and observation, because there are so many macroscopic properties of the universe that only come about.
Now, what I do know exists is the hacking. I know that through your camera, your laptop, other people through other places using their devices can sit here and actually get a glimpse of the inside of your home through your phone. The same thing. They can steal your information, all that. Like, I do know that all exists. I've seen the movies Resident Evil. I've seen the movies Matrix. And you know what I got out of it? That somewhere in the near future, we're already in it, though. I just figured that one out not so long ago, that a lot of the stuff that we're going to be in is not going to be real. It's going to look like it's going to be an illusion to us. And we're going to have to, determine reality and fiction.
Out through a collection of...
reality and fantasy.
Countless quantum interactions, like heat and temperature and pressure. The temperature and pressure of the air in this room and the air in your room depend on countless interactions. And without those countless interactions, we wouldn't have the thermodynamics. And yes, we have a thermodynamic description, but in order to make that work, what's underlying it is a more quantum nature of reality that you do have to simulate. Or the interactions of radiation the interplay of light and matter. These are happening at subatomic scales all over the place. The interaction of electrons with the vacuum energy. They're happening all the time and are required for stability in our universe. Like, I think you have to go down to all the way, the pure quantum level, and probably beyond quantum level. We do not have a theory of everything. We do not understand all the physics in the universe. And in order to build a universe simulator that is 100% faithful.
And that's what I said. If we don't understand everything about the earth and Mother Nature and everything around us, how can we say we live in a simulation? How can you prove to me that we're living? Well, it's crazy is we know that the technology is out there. We know what they want to do with it. But I get where everybody's coming from. I get it. I understand. But y'all can't take away the reality that God is real. Now, there are questions to the Bible, yes, because we've been lied to about it so much. But this right here, I would love to hear y'all opinions.
We need to have all those. We need to have a theory of everything. And if we don't have a theory of everything, then by necessity, our universe simulator will just be an approximation of the original universe, in which case there will be a difference between simulated brains and organic brains, and the argument falls apart. So I think we do need to 100% capture the entire microphysics of the universe in order to get a simulation to work. The best way I can explain this argument is that if we want our simulated universe to be 100% accurate, then that simulated universe doesn't just have conscious beings, it has conscious beings capable of building their own simulator.
Blessings, the meal ticket. How you doing? Bless up.
Simulation needs to be sophisticated enough that it can have a simulated universe inside of it. And
guys, if y'all haven't checked out the meal ticket, go check him out.
And the simulated universe is going to be a very complex thing, and it may be beyond the computing capabilities of the original computer, the original simulation, to have a simulation of itself inside of it. You know, this is a computing thing. You can't have a processor inside of a processor that is just as fast, just as capable, captures all the complexities and computations that the original processor has. So as the simulation progresses, it is going to lose fidelity, it is going to lose faithfulness, and so there will be differences between simulated brains and organic brains. And the argument assumes that simulated and organic brains are identical, that our experiences are identical, because if there is a difference, then you just don't know. So we may not even be able to build a computer that can simulate our universe. That is a big assumption to me. Another big assumption.
But they're trying. And that's the craziest part. Like, if they would just be real about it, they're trying. They're really trying.
Is in counting the number of simulated brains and assuming that that number of simulated brains is going to grow exponentially. Maybe it's incredibly difficult to do this. Maybe there's only 10 simulated brains for every 1,000 organic brains, because it turns out it requires an enormous amount of resources. It's not necessarily a given that once, even with superhuman planet-sized computers with black hole batteries, that we can have the computing power to do this. And we don't know ahead of time. Let's say there are 99 billion simulated brains and 1 billion organic brains. You can't just directly assume that there is, therefore a 99% chance that you're simulated. Yes, it is a fair assumption, but it's still an assumption. You know, if I give you a coin, at first glance, you'll assume it's a fair coin. It's 50-50 heads or tails. But the only way to truly know if it is a fair coin is to flip it a bunch and measure the outcomes and make sure it's 50-50 heads and tails. Yes, given 99 billion simulated brains and 1 billion organic brains, you can assume that there's a 99% chance that you are simulated, but it's not a guarantee.
There's no guarantee on the box.
The only way to actually study that probability, the chances, the odds, is to make observations and experiments, and you can't because the simulated universe is identical to the original universe. And so you can't truly know the probabilities. And so that is a major assumption. Here's another approach to this. This is courtesy Brian Eggleston at Stanford, who said that Nick Bostrom's original argument relied on our descendants, our future descendants, thousands of years from now, building a supercomputer and having a simulated universe. Once they do that, the number of simulated brains skyrockets, and then we can assume that we're likely to be in such a simulation. But.
And once again, you only prove my theory right. Sophia Stewart revealed all this, and if y'all pay attention to her books and if y'all listen to her interviews, she talked about this, especially back then, especially when she was fighting for her book back, you know, the lawsuits and all that stuff. She exposed a lot of this stuff, and we're living it right now. We're living it right now.
But we can't use the simulated brains that our descendants make because we'll know they're simulated. You know, if you were around tomorrow and tomorrow we're able to build a universe in a box, and that universe in a box has conscious entities that argue with each other and make cheese and YouTube videos.
What I am going to be honest about is I feel as though like we can't time travel. Like maybe people think I'm crazy for saying that shit, but I think time traveling exists. That I do believe.
Play Minecraft, you can point to them and say, well, they're definitely simulated. And yeah, we have 25 billion simulated brains on our Minecraft server. You know they're simulated. It doesn't tell you if you are simulated or not. It doesn't tell you about your past. So we can't rely on our future selves building enormous numbers of simulations to tell us anything about our probabilities of being in a simulation. Our probabilities depend on our ancestors having the ability, or some alien species out there somewhere having the ability and making human simulations. We don't know. We don't know how common life is in the universe. We don't know how common intelligent life is in the universe. We don't know how much time they've had. Have they had 13 billion years? Have they had 100 billion years? We don't know what our past is. We don't know what the past history of intelligence truly is. And so we don't know really if there is an overwhelming.
Do we know our past intelligence? It hasn't been in front of our face and we haven't paid attention to it because people don't want to pay attention to the Bible or history. And the ones that do pay attention want to pay attention to either one or the other. So shout out to those that do know that the Bible and the history go hand in hand. And once again, this is not to start a fight. This is not to start, an arguing debate. Like, oh, you're right, you're wrong. No, it is to speak out, to put out there the facts, to bring awareness.
Large number of simulated brains. We only know if we were to make a simulation, we would know that the people in that simulation are definitely simulated, but it doesn't tell us about ourselves. So we actually can't calculate these probabilities as reliably as you think we could. My takeaway from the simulation argument: do we live in a simulation? We don't know. There's no experiment that we could perform that could tell us that we do. This is an interesting line of argument, but it is not a persuasive line of argument one way or the other. It doesn't tell us, yes, we definitely live in a simulation. It doesn't tell us, no, we definitely don't. So you can't take the simulation hypothesis and say, yep, we live in a simulation. And you also can't take it and say, nope, we definitely don't. We don't know the difference. And truly, it's an interesting thing to think about. That's what the point of philosophy is, to think and progress and argue. These are good arguments to have. And if we are living in a simulation, I kind of like it. Good job. I don't know why they're up there. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time. Go to patreon.com/PMSutter. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Even if
Oh, pause it. I don't know what y'all opinions is. Me, I'm going to be very honest. I believe in God. I walk with God by my side. I do have questions about the Bible. Always had questions about the Bible. I've had people, sit here because I've had questions like, "Oh, you need to convert into our church." No, I don't want to convert. I believe in God. That's it. I walk with Him by my side. Like, I don't know if, my question is, Was he something that was real, something spiritual? Like, how did he really create us? Like, did he really have a wife? Did he not really have a wife? You see, I got so many questions like that. Like, what was the purpose of him really making us, and much more? Like, I've always had questions like that. A lot of them got answered throughout time, me reading and doing my own history, doing my own research. So what we're going to do today is, like I said, we're going to look at a couple of videos, react to them, give our perspectives, give our opinions. And I feel as though like these videos, where they at? Here we go. These videos got good questions. All right.
We humans are unable to experience the true nature of the universe unfiltered.
All right, so this video that we're about to watch is called, Is Reality Real? The Simulation Argument. Is reality real? So like I said, so many questions, some of these videos are surfacing, and I just wanted to talk about it. I would love to hear people's opinions, people's perspectives, and together we could probably figure out some things. Each one to each one.
Our senses and brains can only process a fraction of the world. So we have to use concepts and tools to learn about the true nature of reality. Technological progress not only widened our knowledge about the universe, it also made us aware of unsettling possibilities. In the future, it might become possible to simulate entire universes. But if this is an option, how can we know that it's not already?
See, like I said on the previous video, they're trying. I've been doing, I've been watching a lot of videos, reading a lot of articles. Like, they've been trying and they're trying to simulate the earth. They already got the fake foods and all that shit, and they approved it too while we was asleep. But a lot of people don't want to listen to the people that are woke.
Already happened. What if we are not creators, but creations? Is it possible that we are not real and we don't even know it? If our current understanding of physics is correct, then it's impossible to simulate the whole universe with its trillions and trillions of things. But we don't actually need to anyway. We only need enough universe to fool the inhabitants of our simulation into thinking that they're real. Who needs billions of galaxies?
You heard what he said? They only need a portion just to make people think it's real.
We only need the space our subjects are allowed to explore.
The vast universe could just be a flat projection, and they would have no way to know.
What about small things like cells or bacteria? We don't really need them. When you use a microscope, what you see could be instantly created.
Could it?
Same with atoms. The chair you're sitting on right now does not need to be simulated with quadrillions of atoms. We just need the outermost layer of it. It might be empty inside until you decide to break it open. Your body might feel like it's filled with bubbly things, but it might be empty until you open it. The minimum requirement for our simulation is only the consciousness of our virtual humans. Our subjects just need to think the simulation is real. Okay, so are we being simulated? Well...
So once again, right? In his theory, this is not real. Y'all in the chat are not real. In his theory, it's just an illusion to me. But it looks real. It feels real. Banging it here is like it sounds like it's something real. So am I creating an illusion in my head, thinking that this is real, but how can I pick it up? Things that make you like, listen, we reacting to this together.
Maybe, but there are a few conditions that need to be met. Obviously, we have no authority over this topic, so please take everything we say with a grain of salt. Based on a modified version of the original simulation argument by Nick Bostrom, we have 5 assumptions for you. If they're true, you, dear viewer, are living in a simulation. Assumption 1. It's possible to simulate consciousness. Nobody knows what consciousness is. For the sake of argument, let's assume that you could generate consciousness by simulating a brain. Brains are pretty complex.
If you count every interaction between synapses as one operation, your brain runs at about 10 to the power of 17, or 100 million billion operations per second. Let's generously assume we need 10 to the power of 20 operations to simulate 1 second of human consciousness. But we don't want to simulate just one human, we want to simulate all of human history at once so we can skip around. Let's say we want to simulate.
And how are you going to manage to do all this?
200 billion humans with an average lifespan of 50 years. 1 year has 30 million seconds, times 50 years, times 200 billion humans, times 10 to the power of 20 operations.
So we need a computer able to handle a million, trillion, trillion, trillion operations per second.
So in order to get an illusion created, for the whole world to believe, they need a giant computer. Do they have it? Have they found it? Why are we having so many distractions? Is my biggest question.
Second, more operations than there are stars in the observable universe. A computer like this is just impossible. Except maybe it isn't. Assumption 2. Technological progress will not stop anytime soon. If we assume that technological progress continues in a similar fashion as it has so far, then there might be galaxy-spanning civilizations with unlimited computer power at some point. Beings on a technology level so advanced that we could barely distinguish them from gods. A computer that can handle a million, trillion, trillion, trillion operations is serious business, but there are actually concepts for computers which could handle this. The Matryoshka brain is a theoretical megastructure made up of billions of parts orbiting a star feeding on its radiation. A computer of this scale would have enough power to simulate many thousands, if not millions, of humanities at the same time. Other technologies, like high-end future quantum computers, might lower the size drastically, so it might be possible to do this with a structure the size of a large city, or even smaller. But only if there's still someone around to build the computer. Assumption 3.
Once again, it proves my point from the same question that I asked the last time. Who's running the program? If it's all a simulation, who's running it?
Advanced civilizations don't destroy themselves. If there is a point at which all civilizations destroy themselves, this whole discussion ends here. Looking into space, you'd expect a universe filled with millions of alien civilizations, but we see nobody. The reason for this might be great filters. Great filters are barriers life has to overcome, like nuclear war, asteroids, climate change, or a black hole generator. If life is inherently self-destructive, then there are no simulations. We explain this in more detail in our Fermi paradox video. Assumption 4. Super advanced civilizations want to run simulations. When we speak of post-human civilizations, we don't know what we're dealing with. To think we know what beings as powerful as gods want is pretty arrogant. Imagine the smartest ant on Earth living next to an amusement park.
That leads to another one of my questions. Are there more than one God? How many gods were there? And how is it that mankind managed to supposedly, allegedly tame them?
It's curious about what humans are up to, so you try to explain. Unfortunately, the ant just doesn't understand. The concept of roller coasters and standing in lines and holidays and fun doesn't make sense to an ant living an ant life. It's the same with us and a post-human being. Compared to them, we are ants. Running simulations for fun or science might be an absurdly stupid idea to them. But if they do want to run simulations for whatever reasons, and assumptions 1 to 3 are true too, then the chances are not zero that you are living inside a simulation. Assumption 5. If there are a lot of simulations, you are probably inside a simulation. If there are simulated civilizations, it's likely that there are a lot of them. After all, we assume that post-human beings have access to practically unlimited computing power. So if they run simulations, it would be convenient to run millions or even billions of them. If there are billions of simulated universes, there are probably trillions and trillions of simulated conscious beings, which would mean that the vast majority of all conscious beings that will ever have existed are simulated. So for every conscious being made of flesh, a billion simulated ones exist.
Since we have no way of knowing if we are simulated or not, in this case, the chances of you being one of the 999,999,999 simulated ones are pretty high. So what you consider reality might not be real at all. You really might be simulated.
Yeah.
All of this is based on a lot of assumptions that we can't really test right now.
So wouldn't that mean that we would have to wake up somewhere, like a machine simulating us, or could it be like in that show that's on Netflix that I've been watching for a while, and it's a really good show. I recommend a lot of people to watch it. There's a show called Black Mirror, right? And there's an episode in the show where they're in space, and these people got these robot replicas of them. They're on Earth, right? And they got the normal lives. They're replacing them, but they look like humans. And on this episode, it's crazy because they go to sleep. They go lay in this bed up in a ship out in outer space, right? And they put this little chip into a computer when they lay down. And somehow, some way, when they go to sleep, their consciousness gets transferred to this robot. And they're living a normal life here on Earth while their body is up on space. That's a simulation. So, we have simulations. My stream is unavailable. Hold on 1 second, guys. I need to know in the chat if anybody can hear me. What? Something's wrong. Hi, I don't know if anybody in the chat could actually hear me. Can y'all put a 1? Is y'all able to see what I'm doing? Because it said I had my live was interrupted for a second. So I need to make sure. I don't want to keep talking and the video is not actually playing. So I'm trying to make sure that I'm still live. Okay, I see it now. I see it. I don't know what just happened. It said they suspended my live. Okay, I don't know if anybody's in the chat or what's going on, but I'm trying to fix this. I'm hoping I can fix it. Hold on. All right, I think I'm back. I hope I'm back. I'm not sure, but I'm hoping that I'm back. For some reason, I think they was about to suspend my live. I'm not sure why. No reason to suspend my live because I am not going against violations. So give me 1 second while I do this because they always do this to a shorty. I don't know what's going on. Like, yo, what's up, man? Like, why y'all playing with me like that?
This world is crazy. I would say shady.
Copyright disclaimer. Under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976, allowance is made for fair use for the purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Fair use allows limited use of copyrighted material without permission from the copyright holder for purposes such as criticism, parody, news reporting, research, and scholarships and teaching. Disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed on this video or any video, including the Writers for Life Brings You to Let's Talk About It podcast, do not reflects on the opinions of your shorty Racheal and the members of the Writer for Life podcast. Everything we talk about is allegedly and is our opinion. Our videos are not recommended for minors. Everything we talk about and do is meant for educational purposes and also entertainment. Please keep in mind that the majority of our videos are for educational purposes only.
This world is crazy.
I would say shady.
Ironic, right? Nowadays, you can't trust no one. When you do, niggas be having their panties all in a bunch, thinking that they own one. Saying the things that you accomplished in life is theirs and that you owe them one.
All right. So I don't know why they did that. My live was just interrupted. So let's continue. I'm not sure if anybody can hear me, but I'm going to keep talking. All right, let's play. Let's press play because I lost track of where I was.
So many scientists disagree with this whole thought experiment. So don't burn your house down to test if there will be glitches. If you are simulated, not that much changes for you. You might be on a small planet speeding through eternal nothingness or a simulation inside a computer. Your existence does not become more or less scary and bizarre. All we can hope to do is try to live good lives and have a good time. And hope that if we actually are simulations in a supercomputer, nobody trips over the power cable.
Oh no. I think I just unplugged the simulation. But what if that doesn't matter? What if we are in one right now? What if you are simulated?
Jake over at Vsauce 3 is looking into that. Click here to watch his video and subscribe to his channel.
So those were all really, really good questions, right? Is God real? You know, me personally, like I've said before, I believe in God. I walk with God by my side. I will never stop believing in God. I know that there are so many theories out here when it comes to, aliens and so much more. But here's one thing that I can say is that I'm not going to sit here and go by he say, she say. I want to sit here and do my own research. And that's why I'm doing these panels like this. So as y'all can see, I put a little bit of the clips out there that, they're talking about the most right now. So let me see 1 second. Let's get to this guy right here. Right? Y'all know what I think. Y'all know how I feel. Right? Me, I feel as though that a lot of us need to repent. Like a lot of us need to do our history, need to do our research, and much more. So let's listen to what this clip has to say.
I don't think that you can prove that there is a God, and I don't think that you can prove there's not a God. So trying to merely figure out a spiritual being through scientific rationalism, I don't think that's the place that you would find God. He's not able to be verified in a test tube.
Facts.
And so that can put some people off, but many of the things that we say actually give life meaning cannot be verified. You cannot scientifically verify love. You cannot scientifically verify beauty or truth or meaning. And so instead of just asking what is here, you have to move it into another category, which is a category of philosophy in many ways, which is asking, why are we here? So I read a book called Can Man Live Without God by Ravi Zacharias, and the 4 big ideas he said was the human heart in order to thrive needs origins, meaning, morality, and destiny. Where do we come from? Why are we here? How do we live? And is there life after this one, or is this all there is? But the thing that stood out to me that he said was, how do we find meaning? And he said, in order to find meaning, it takes a few things. Number one, there has to be a profound sense of wonder. And this is normally what we get when we're children. The world's just filled with magic and fantasy and fairy tale. He said, but part of the problem with wonder is at some point it brushes up against reality. And he said, that's when we start to look for the idea of truth. When we're little kids, we get angry when we realize that Santa Claus isn't real and that Easter Bunny's some bloke from church in a suit. And so we start looking for questions of truth and we lose some of our wonder. But after we go on a search for the quest for truth, we realize that even if we have all the answers, the heart is terribly lonely. And then we normally enter into a quest for love. Who will accept me? Who will give themselves to me without reservation? Who will know me and see me and still want me? But then when we do find someone that we love, ultimately we start asking the question, how do I find a sense of permanence? Will this last? What a terror that this relationship could end. And so he said that if you look through all of the teachers that have ever lived, you look at all of the philosophies and all of the experiences, Jesus best answers the quest for meaning. He gives us a sense of wonder.
And this man makes a really good point talking about Jesus and God. But me reading through the Bible and everything, I feel as though that God is one person. Jesus was, a prophet, somebody that gave the word of God. And Jesus wasn't Joshua. I can't say the word right, but it's God's actual name. And as we go through these lives, we're going to be doing our research ourselves, and we're going to be giving our perspectives and our opinions.
That there is purpose and mystery for the world. He tells us the truth about the brokenness of the human condition, our own sin, but also the truth that we're dearly loved. He enters not just into an agreement, but a relationship with us where he sees us at our worst and loves us anyway. And then he came to give us eternal life, the life of God in the soul of man, that we may be with him forever. And when I heard those four things about how Jesus answers that, I thought about everything that I've ever tried to answer those questions with and realized that Jesus does resolve and meet those longings more or better than anybody else.
And that's a fact. This man made some really, really good points. But at the end of the day, I cannot change. Like I said before, I stand for something and I fall for nothing. So as we go along, we're going to watch these videos. It's different videos. So we're going to get the alien topics out the way, right? And we're going to get the simulation topics out the way. All right, let me pause this real quick over here. The universe as you know it, okay. All right, my bad, I gotta close some tabs. All right. So here are the. Oh, yeah. We're going to be talking about Bible secrets revealed, the forbidden scriptures lost to time, and we got a couple more chapters to that. All right. So we're also going to talk about giants and fallen angels, the book of the Watchers, book of Enoch, part 1. We're going to talk about the Sean Ryan show. I mean, not the Sean Ryan show. Dr. Stephen Greener. He did a podcast. He did an episode on the podcast with the Sean Ryan show. My bad. I apologize for that. We're going to talk about the universe as you know it does not exist. Let me explain. There's somebody talking about it. Ancient aliens, the star children. So we're going to get the aliens out the way, and we're going to go straight down. So we're going to start off with ancient aliens, the star children. So let's watch this little this video right here. Hopefully we can get through the whole video. I'm not even sure how long I've been into this live. Let me see 1 second. I'm not sure how long I've been into this live. All right, we can go a little longer. So let's watch this. Let's see how long of this video we can watch, and let's react to it. And like I told you, we got all these videos to go. I am going to do a part 2, but let's see how much longer we can go on this live, watching this and reacting to this. So this is called Ancient Aliens, The Star Children, Season 7, Episode 3, full episode. Make sure that I am not muted. Let me share the screen with y'all. Here we go. So let's watch this. How many of y'all think that we got powers? How many of y'all think that God gave us our powers, that we were born with powers, or we're able to search somewhere deep inside of us? Oh, we're an hour and 40 minutes into this. All right, we can go a couple more. Let's see how much longer we can go. Once again, I want to thank everybody that's showing the shorty support. Right now, we're going to really start getting into these long videos. These are interviews. These are articles that, you know, that I've been watching, and I want to react with y'all. So I would love to get y'all honest opinion, and I would love to hear y'all perspectives, and let's talk about it, all right? We're not here to judge nobody once again. Oh, but how many of y'all think that we got special powers, or that we can reach or search somewhere deep down inside of us and find special powers?
They have superhuman intelligence,
They are vastly more intelligent than the average person.
knowledge,
They always said that the human body is a mystery, and I'm not gonna listen. I believe that the human body is a mystery. Okay, I don't know what's going on. Again, we got interrupted. Is there a studio on here? What's going on? Because it's not telling me I'm interrupted here. Suspended. Huh? Hold on, get that $10 worth of currency. Whatever bill they got. Get 2 bags of shredded cheese. You want to get a salsa dip and some sour cream. But get the normal stuff we always get. But get the ground beef, the tortillas, huh? Get a taco kit if you want. And the soft tortillas. All right, so